The reason why you're struggling on defense right now in Madden 26 is probably because you're calling bad plays or worse, coach suggestions. But don't worry, by the end of this video, I'm going to fix that with my 5-step Vikings defensive ebook that's going to have you locking down your next game. Let's jump right into it. Before we jump into any plays, we need to make sure that we have the right defensive settings turned on. Let me show you the best one. Okay, so when we talk about the best defensive settings, we need to make sure we have our cornerback matchup unbalanced. Okay, we need to make sure we have defensive motion response disabled, RPO pass key on conservative, and then zone drops. We're going to talk about these later in the video, but these are going to depend on situations. But if you just want to set them, forget them to start the game, you just want to put your curl flats on 5. Okay, then you want to put your safety depth on close with your safety width on pinch. Okay, and here we go. We need to make sure that we come to our game options as well. Come into settings. Okay, go to game options, scroll down to the bottom when it says gameplay helpers. Okay, defensive ball hawk. This is going to help you catch passes in the air. On defense, heat seeker assist is going to help you make tackles, specifically gap shoot tackles. All right, and then switch to delay, you need to make sure you have a none, and then switch assist needs to be on so that you can change players. Okay, let me show you what's going to happen when you actually decide not to use, cornerback matchups unbalanced. Okay, your DBs, let's say Harrison Smith's our slowest DB, he's going to match up with their slowest receiver. Let's say that this guy's next, right? He's going to match up with him. All of this isn't going to be in zone covers though, by the way. And so then you're going to see this guy's going to try to match up with the running back, whatever. All right, and then you can just see how this is terrible defense. They call any half-decent route concept, they put a streak on the field, and you have they have a wide open touchdown, and now your defense is completely messed up. Okay, the simple fix is to just make sure that you leave your cornerback matchups unbalanced, so that when the offense no huddles, that your zones, they don't try to match up with the receivers based on whether you put it by route running, by speed, by height. Okay, then you need to, the reason why you need safety depth and close is so that you're not getting deep right up the seam, right? We understand that if we call a cover 3 defense and we back this safety up, right? And so that meant that you would have your safety depth on default or whatever the default setting is. Well, now we understand that we're allowed to we just give up 2 shrieks, right? And I mean, he has a knockout ability, right? But the seam is open. If you want to go to the other seam, you want to look to the tight end seam, you have, this is just easy, right? Boom, right here, throw this. And the reason is because you're just too far back and you're in a cover 3 defense, okay? You want to make sure that you're showing a cover 2 shell, all right? And then you have your safety depth and close, because then your linebackers drop back, it closes the airspace, and then Harrison Smith or whoever's at that safety position is going to be able to just come up and make that play. So those are the best defense settings that you need to be using with this Vikings defense. All right, offense is changing right now. You need to be able to adjust by stopping corner routes. Let me show you. All right, so this is going to be independent whether they want to run any formation. All right, so we're just going to come into a cover 2 defense, and I'm going to show you why corner routes are so hard to stop. Okay, we have our zone drops set to 20 yards. Okay, and what a lot of people do is some people call a corner out like this. Okay, well, actually, some people will call corner outs like this. Well, they're just going to take the snap, have the corner out, and I mean, obviously, it's not going to be open because your safety is going to be there. If you're on offense, you can take this as an offensive tip too. When you're on offense, you need shrieks on the field to run off zones. And so now Harrison Smith is going to get ran off by the shriek. But the great thing is when you set your zone drops to 20 yards, you have that 20-yard flat there. But if you're on offense and they didn't have that set to 20, then that route would be open. So luckily for you on defense, you set your zone drop flats to 20, right? Even if they put a shriek on the field, you have a guy just dropping in the perfect spot and breaking that pass up, okay? But here's the problem. Here's the problem that's created is they can just call a flood concept, something like this, where you can set the defense up the same way. You have your 20-yard flat, but now, I mean, you just have a flat dropping too far back, and they have an easy out route there, for a first down. That's going to be a huge problem for you on defense, obviously, because there would be no way to stop both of them. Even if you moved your flats down to down to 5 to stop the underneath route, right? The out route to Keenan Allen, you could probably imagine why cover 2 struggles against flood concepts so much, because if Quentin Johnson wants to run his route, he's going to get wide open up the sideline. All right, you can just see all of this green grass over here. Once the safety runs off, we'll look at this sideline area that's exposed again if he doesn't want to get bumped by this corner. But like, look at this. This is going to be a huge problem for you. So what do you have to do? You need to make sure that you have your curl flats set to 5 yards, okay? You have your curl flats set to 5 yards. You have your flat set to 20 or 25 yards, whichever one you prefer. And now you're gonna have a guy dropping really far back to stop the corner route, and then you're gonna have a man underneath to stop the out route or flat route, whatever they're trying to do, right? Boom, take the snap, right? And then you see Byron Murphy's right there to come up and make that tackle or, knock that pass out. But then we also have a guy dropping back over the top to actually go ahead and stop this corner out. Boom, you're able to see we're sitting right here, stop this corner out, and then obviously we have our deep safety over the top to stop the shriek, okay? So corner routes, post route, it really doesn't even matter. If you put the tight end on a crossing route here, you're gonna see kind of the same thing's gonna happen where they're just gonna call a route concept like this. You're gonna set up the same kind of Mabel coverage over here on this left side. Okay, we drop this man far back, and boom, we take this snap, and now you're gonna see the tight end's going to get guarded by the flat, or one of the flats right there on that side. Tight end corner routes are annoying on defense because they freaking run so shallow, but you're able to see Murphy's here to squeeze that, and then again, you just have a good user over the middle of the field. So whether you're trying to stop corners, crossers, post routes, if you just utilize 20-yard flats, you're going to be able to stop that. But if you also want to stop the underneath pass, I would recommend putting your curl flats on 5, calling a cover 2 defense, and setting the defense up something like this. All right, that's just the start of the Vikings defensive ebook. But if you want my full scheme with my full updates as they drop, go to the link down below in the description in the pinned comment and grab it today for 20% off using code WELCOME. I can't wait to see you there. The next thing that this defense excels in is getting quick pressure on the quarterback. Let me show you my favorite glitch blitz. All right, so if we come into nickel 3-3 odd here, all right, you're gonna see overload 3 press on the right. Now, I would also put my flats back on default in this case. If you just use the defense that I just showed you, right, I'd put my flats back on default. Okay, call the play here, all right, and then you're gonna press RB twice to show blitz, okay, and this is basically gonna move your players into the right position to make this blitz like really toxic and overpowered. All right, so this is gonna be what it looks like. The key though with this blitz is look at where this slot corner is, Murphy, and then look at where their running back is, number 8. Okay, they're on opposite sides of the field. You always want to be basically blitzing them off of the opposite side of their running back to make it harder for the running back to slide over and actually block. Okay, so you're gonna see right here, all you're gonna have to do, they're gonna call base protection, right? Pass can make your defense RB, right stick up. Okay, I'm gonna take the snap, turn this guard inside, and then you're gonna make it to where it's pretty hard for the offensive line to pick up. Now, I'm not gonna, promise you guys a full stream, as I say, and tell you that this blitz comes in every play, because sometimes the O-line just does a better job than other times of blocking the blitz. But it's all about the fundamentals. If you can get the attention of 73, turn him inside, you're gonna be perfectly fine with this blitz. So boom, turn 73 inside, and then you're able to see we're gonna get quick pressure on the quarterback right up the A gap. A lot of the time you're gonna get pressure right off the edge, but again, this is why this game's kind of a fluke, and it's why you have to just be consistent here. You're able to see they get a chip right here, which is going to make this slot corner blitz worse, but you're able to see we're able to get pressure right here up the middle, forced to just run through Hampton. I always say linebackers, defensive linemen are just going to punish running backs in pass protection just because they're way bigger than them. All right, so, but next, I do want to mention how you can stop the seam area, because obviously we're in cover 3 base. Obviously you can make adjustments to your coverage, but what a lot of people are going to do is they're just going to see this defense, and you're probably struggling with this, and they're just going to try to hype throw that. My user's kind of dropping that area, but that seam route's open. You can just see how there's a huge void right here once your seam flat defender just leaves that area of the field, right? I mean, just look at all this green grass right here, for them if they want to wait on this pass. So that's going to be a problem for you, especially because your other safety is also rotating from the other side of the field. Like, it would be different if Harrison Smith was standing in the middle of the field, but he's not, right? So really all I would do is press Y twice, then press LB to put this safety in a deep half. All right, you're going to put this man in a deep half, and then you're going to put a flat over here, a cloud flat on this right side. So it's going to look something like this. Now, this is really a really good coverage shell now, because you're not going to get beat up the seam, because earlier I told you to put safety depth and close width on pinch, and you're going to get a really good blitz, right? So again, pass commit your defense, stand right over the guard, just have them call base protection, right? Whether they want to send 5 out, block someone, boom, try to move him inside, and then you're able to see just play really good defense. Sometimes you're going to be able to scream immediately if you guys have seen some of the other breakdowns. I mean, this is the worst time this blitz has been working. I can't even believe my slot corner's not running in free. But this is why bunch nasty is a really good formation and why people run it, right? But you're able to see you're back into coverage with your user. You're taking everything away. You just have a really good coverage shell out here. You're able to see we're sitting on these routes and really whatever they want to call. So really this blitz, very, very toxic, right? Because you're going to get quick pressure off the edge a lot of the time with your slot corner or your A-gap rusher right here. And then you're also able to play really good pass defense in the back end because your user's back in coverage and you set up a really good pass defense. Or you've seen all your favorite pro players speed boosting all over the field, and now it's starting to take shape online. Let me show you the best way to counter that. Alright, so Amari Hampton isn't exactly the best example of the speed boost, right? But really what they're going to be able to do is just, kind of like right there, you can see how he kind of changed the direction there. If it's like James Cook, for example, or some of the guys in mud, this would be like a crazy acceleration. Like right there, boom, I make that cut. You get like a crazy acceleration boost out of the cut. All right, so you see it in that clip where it's like, boom, you get this crazy speed burst. So that's kind of how you do it. And you have to counter that, because if you let them consistently do that, I mean, they're just going to be running all over your defense. All right, so really the best way to make sure that that doesn't happen is by shooting gaps with your user. Okay, so you're going to see, we're going to take this snap, we're going to loop around, and there it is, the dive tackle. You have to make sure you're pressing X or pressing square to, bring this guy down in the backfield. Okay, it's very critical that you do this, because essentially it's going to be a little bit harder for them to speed burst behind the line of scrimmage, and they have to change directions with it. So it's not like they're going to have to cut back here, but if you just dive tackle them, you make it like impossible for them to even be able to do the move, because like as soon as he gets the ball, he's on the ground, right? Also, you don't get involved in like tackle battles, or they can't like stiff arm you or anything, because you're literally, it's like a suction tackle. It's literally an animation. They can't even do anything about it, okay? And so like you saw there, all you're doing is waiting for the quarterback to have the ball and then looping around this guard. You see how far this guard comes out, but then I move and he can't catch me because I'm way faster than him. So it's all about repetition and practice, something I've talked about in a lot of my defensive breakdowns, right? Where if you just stand right here, loop around the line, and then dive tackle him. Very, very consistent, and it's how you stop just about every single shotgun run in this game, especially inside runs, when it's like, I mean, it's very, very easy for you to do this, okay? Because essentially 73 is blocking nobody, right? And so then it just, I mean, they're double teaming people, but like it doesn't matter because they're just leaving me free. So really that's the best way to kind of stop the speed boost glitch or stop the run in general. But you're able to see, if I miss the gap shoot, so I'm gonna miss it on purpose here, if I let him block me, you see how they're able to pick up yards to get to the second level of the defense and possibly speed boost. So it's very critical that you're practicing this and getting better with this, because you're able to see, this time I didn't loop around, right? I just ran right into him, right? So if I get on to 73, you're able to see he just comes up, blocks me. And if he can successfully get his block, right, this is a good run for them. They have everyone blocked at the second level, the first level, right? So that's gonna be good run defense. So again, it's all about just standing right here, right? And then boom, loop around and then try to make that play in the backfield. And again, that time, nothing's guaranteed in this game, right? This is something that takes practice. And so, if you miss like the gap shoot, you do give them a chance to, get to the second level of the defense and turn it into a big game. But this time you're able to see I dive tackle, and I don't know how I didn't, bring that guy down. I literally did it perfectly there. But you practice that, and it's going to be extremely easy for you to not only stop the run, but you're going to stop their speed boost. Shout out for EA for making my guy. I mean, like, this doesn't make any sense, but perfect run defense, very easy for you to, practice and get better with, and that's really the best way to stop the speed. All right, you stayed all the way to the end of the video, so the last part of this Vikings defense is how you can actually improve your pass defense by switch sticking. Let me show you. All right, so you're gonna come into a play like cover 3 cloud, okay, from nickel 3-3 odd, right? Cover 3 clouds and a lot of other defenses, but this is just my favorite, okay? When do you want to use a switch stick, okay? You do not just want to be switch sticking all over the field, right? So if they go ahead, take the snap, you don't just want to be mindlessly switch sticking, peeling guys out of position, right? You want it to be calculated when people are open, right? When guys start to break open, depending on what route the offense calls, what plays they call, that's when you want to switch stick, right? So if they call, I don't really know what route concept this even is from them, but all we're doing is reading it, and we just need to be in the right spots, right? So you see, we're pretty much everywhere able to take away everything, right? If our zone defenders can take away an area, we let them. We don't need to click onto them. So many people and so many players I see, they're over switch sticking. They're doing something like this, where they're just peeling this guy completely out of the play, and then you see they have a wide open touchdown speed, right? So you need to really be precise and paying attention to who you're switch sticking onto. And again, with the switch stick, flicking the right stick in the direction of the player you want to switch onto is really the best way to, kind of explain it, right? But like if they call a play like verticals, right, and you shade your hooks down by accident, or you just wanted to shade your coverage down, well, now you need to guard this. You need to guard this crosser. You need to switch stick onto that hook zone and then, take that crosser away down the field, right? Because he's going to be open, right? If you just if I never switch stick onto this guy, this pass will be open over the top of him. So I switched it onto him, take it away, and now you see how everyone else is really just playing perfect defense on everyone, right? So it really just comes down to that, right? Whatever routes they have called, you want to switch it onto, okay? We're just gonna have them call a different play right here, play action. We're gonna come down, we see someone else is taking away that little corner route to the tight end, so then we come down and take away this drag. This is perfect switch stick, right? Boom, you see the route they have called, they call play action. I see that potentially they have a drag running, and so then I come down, take it away, everything else is taken away. So really the best way to improve your switch stick is actually just right here, getting in practice mode, having them call random plays so that you can kind of just practice with, oh wait, where do I need to be in certain situations? And again, it's only when the quarterback has the ball that you can switch stick, and you're able to see perfect defense when you actually get better with it and you're precise, all right? And then the last thing I'll say too is you can't have your man blitzing. So if you have your guy in a blitzing assignment, you're gonna see right here, they take the snap, you can't switch stick with the right stick. You would have to use the D-pad like I did at the end there to actually switch stick. So never have your man in a blitz, always have your user in a man coverage assignment like this, or in a zone assignment like this, and then you would be able to do exactly what I said. Switch stick when it's time and when they potentially have routes open. All right, so if you enjoyed that full Vikings defensive ebook, I recommend you go to the link down below in the description in the pinned comment and grab it today using code WELCOME for 20% off. Recently been updated, and I guarantee it'll transform your defense here in Madden 26. But if you're still struggling on offense, check out this video where I break down 5 tips that's gonna make you score every single drive. I'll see you over there.